Now the clock is ready to hang on the wall. I have it sitting on a table with some tools that will be needed. And I placed the weight down on the floor below the spot where the clock will be hanging. So I'll just aim the camera there and get ready. Now I've included a handy cardboard template to get the clock positioned right and to determine the place where the screw or the wall anchor will be, where the clock will be hanging from. As you can see, it's got this outline on it. I made a very rough drawing of the outline of the clock on here so that you can use this to move around and determine exactly where you want the clock to be hanging. And I've written on here that this main anchor that the clock will hang from needs to be at least 62 inches above the floor for the clock to run for at least 24 hours. So I always write on the template how high that should be above the floor. And it's good to have this clock, I think, fairly low on eye level so that you can see everything up close and get up really close and see the escapement action. But it needs to be at least about this high then, to run for 24 hours. So what we do is once you determine approximately where you want the clock to be, I'll just take this screw out of the wall that I had there. Then you mark that spot. You just put a little light mark with a pencil, and then determine, or maybe you've determined already, where the studs are. Find the stud there, and then I really prefer to hang this clock with a nice hefty screw from the stud in the wall. I don't really like sheetrock anchors so much, but this one will work. This type here I've found will work quite well. Something that really attaches to the inside of the wall, because on this clock, and well, most of my clocks, there's quite a bit of outward pull on that screw, and so I don't trust these things for hanging the full weight of the clock from. But something like this will work fine too. It's also handy because you can adjust exactly how far out this bolt is from the wall surface. The screw needs to be put in, or this, put in so that the gap between the screw head and the wall is about a quarter to 5/16 of an inch out from the wall surface. So either one of these will work. I prefer the screw in the stud. So once you then determine exactly where the studs are and exactly where you want to put that screw in, then you put a new mark on the wall where that will be, and you line up this hole onto that. So I'll just get this lined up to the hole that I've already drilled there. And then I'm going to temporarily attach this to the wall. I'll just put the screw in by hand. So it's in its spot where it needs to be, and then you level it up, put a level along this vertical line, and then once you get it leveled up, then you mark down below this other hole that's highlighted in red. You put a little mark there on the wall. Then you can take the template off again and put the screw or the anchor in the wall. Alright, now we're ready to hang the clock. And I'll just show you the back of the frame. which has these keyhole shaped hanging holes in the back. I would recommend using the top one here, the upper hole, for a little bit more stability. And then down on the bottom there's just a little nail protruding out the back. I put this temporary piece of wood over it so it doesn't scratch the wall. So once the clock is positioned on the wall, this will be pushed into the wall, right at the spot where that lower hole was marked there on the wall. If it's something harder, if the wall is a hard plaster or something, instead of sheetrock, you may need to pre-drill this hole. All right, so now I'll get that hung up here. Make sure it sits down and locks in that hole in the back. You might need to adjust the screw a little bit, bring it out a little if it's too tight. If the clock won't sink down onto it, you might have to bring it out a little, or if the clock is too loose on the wall, you might have to tighten that screw a little bit. Then make sure these weights are hanging free, they're not wound up over the top like that or something. I will put something on here to make sure this string stays exactly in the spot where I have it now. I did put a little bit of a mark there with a pencil on the top showing where this should be in case it does get moved sometime during packing or unpacking. And I also will have a string attached to the escapement shaft here and tied around the main shaft of the clock, just to keep this from getting out of position with these strings up here on top, so it stays in the place where it's supposed to be. So you take that string off then, get all these freed up, then you find that hole in the back, or that mark on the wall that you made, and turn the clock so that this screw, this nail will go into the wall right at that mark that you made. And you take off the little piece of wood and bring the clock to where it needs to be, and then you push that nail into the wall. So now the clock can't rotate on the wall. Then the weight cord, bring that up over the top of the pulley, like that. Let me just check my camera, make sure it's aimed right. I've got this little pulley here, that this will be packed along with the weight. And then you take this little pulley and put it on this string hanging down here, this is 50-pound fishing line. All right, now it's ready to wind. Wind up the weight. I have another video that shows more about that. I'll just wind it a little bit and start up the clock. And it's ready to go. I have one more thing I just thought of that needs to be, make sure you get it in the right position. This bottom horizontal shaft on the pendulum can come loose like that. And in packing, I might even have it tied up in place just so it doesn't flop around. So before you start up the clock, this just needs to be put in position. There's a little hole under here that this peg needs to fit into, like that. Fit it in there, and now it's ready to go. And as far as adjusting the pendulum, I have another video that covers that as well. So there it is, all set up and running.